Hello, children. Today we will continue with the chapter The Constitutional Design, and we will start from making of the Indian Constitution. Like South Africa, the country, our country was also facing difficult circumstances. Number one, it was partitioned due to differences among religions. Number two, the British rulers had given a choice to the independent states ruled by princely states, that it was their choice whether they like to go with India or Pakistan or would like to remain independent. So you see, it was a difficult task for our leaders to draft a constitution. They had to go about convincing the princely states to join India. Number two, they had to ensure the rights of minorities and also ensure that people of different caste and creed were all treated equally. Now, but we were lucky that the basic principles of our constitution was being discussed many years earlier before the independence. During the meetings, our leaders imagined, discussed what our country was going to look like or what kind of constitution we were going to draw up, and those basic principles of our constitution were being discussed. So unlike South Africa, we did not have to gain consensus of the people as the Africans had to gain consensus of the whites as well as the blacks. Due to long drawn discussions and a period of long struggle for independence had already given us a fair deal of consensus on what the people of different provinces of India wanted. So now we will read the path to constitution. Despite all these difficulties, there was one big advantage for the makers of the Indian constitution. Unlike South Africa, they did not have to create a consensus about what a democratic India should look like. As I told you earlier, there were prior discussions. Much of the consensus had evolved during the freedom struggle. Our national movement was not merely a struggle against a foreign rule. It was also a struggle to rejuvenate our country and to transform our society and politics. Yes, the resources were drained out by the foreign rulers. So we had to rejuvenate our country economically as well as on the basis of social equality, because our country, our people had a bitter experiences of caste system, and on a religion basis, of course, there were lots of differences. That's why the country had to face a very painful and bitter partition. As far back as in 1928, Motilal Nehru and 8 other Congress leaders drafted a constitution for India. In 1931, the resolution at the Karachi session of the Indian National Congress dwelt on how independent India's constitution should look like. So you can see that far back in 1931, the resolution of Karachi session of the Indian National Congress decided on how our constitution should look like. Both these documents were committed to the inclusion of universal adult franchise, right to freedom and equality and to protecting the rights of minority. So you see, children, even the British government did not give adult franchise or universal adult franchise to all, but we decided to give voting rights to all, irrespective of caste, creed, color, social, or economic status. Secondly, our constitution was going to give the right to freedom and equality to everyone, and also ensure that provision for protection of the minorities were also included in our constitution. Our leaders feared, and it is a natural tendency, that a larger group always tries to suppress a smaller group. It's a natural tendency. And therefore, in order to eliminate this right to protection of minorities was also considered. Now, a group of 299 members were elected to frame our constitution, and this unit was called Constituent Assembly. The familiarity with political institutions of colonial rule also helped develop an agreement over the institutional design. The British rule had given voting rights only to a few. On that basis, the British had introduced very weak legislatures. Elections were held in 1937 to provincial legislatures and ministries all over English India. These were not fully democratic governments, but the experience gained by Indians in the working of the legislative institution proved to be very useful. Yes, during the British rule, there were provincial legislatures in which Indians were also allowed to participate. And by sitting in those legislatures, our Indian leaders gained a lot of experiences in running the country. That is why the Indian Constitution adopted many institutional details and procedures from colonial laws like the Government of India Act 1935. Years of thinking and deliberation on the framework of the Constitution had another benefit. Our leaders gained confidence. Since our leaders were discussing each and every article or the basic principles of our Constitution, this gave a lot of confidence to our leaders while framing the Constitution. Many of our leaders were inspired by the ideals of French Revolution, the practice of parliamentary democracy in Britain, and the Bill of Rights in the US. So you see, we took all the good things from the constitution of other democracies, but we did not copy it blindly. We did not imitate it blindly. There was a lot of discussions whether such provisions would be suitable for our country or not. And when it was decided that it would be suitable, then only it was included. I've already told you what the Constituent Assembly means, and the election for Constituent Assembly were held in 1946. First meeting was held in December 1946. Soon after, the country was divided into India and Pakistan. So, since the country was divided into two parts, the Constituent Assembly, the members of the Constituent Assembly were also divided into two parts. So, the Constituent Assembly that wrote the Indian Constitution had 299 members, as I told you earlier. The Assembly adopted the Constitution on 26th November 1949. It was adopted on 26th November 1949, but it came into effect on 26th January 1950, and therefore 26th Jan is celebrated as Republic Day every year in our country. But there's one important question. Why should we accept the constitution made by this assembly more than 50 years ago? We have already noted one reason above. The constitution does not reflect the views of its members alone. It expresses a broad consensus of its time. Means during that time, leaders of each and every province of India agreed upon those articles, those provisions of our constitution. So we can't say that there wasn't a broad consensus. And unlike other countries where the constitution has been changed several times because majority of the people or a large group of people objected to it, but in our country we are lucky that no large political party or a large group of people have ever questioned our constitution, and that's why it is effective even today. The experience of our constitution is different over the last half a century. Several groups have questioned some provisions of the constitution, but no large social group or political party has ever questioned the legitimacy of the constitution itself. So, as I told you earlier, that a large group or a political party have never raised any question on its legitimacy. This is an unusual achievement of any constitution, and we are lucky, and therefore this shows that the members of the Constituent Assembly were very cautious and while framing the constitution. They thought on every aspect of each and every article, sections and subsections, and thought on those questions which might arise half a century or a century later. The second reason for accepting the constitution is that the Constituent Assembly represented the people of India. I told you, from every nook and corner of India, there were representatives. There were no universal adult franchise at that time, so the Constituent Assembly could not have been chosen directly by all the people of India. It was elected mainly by the members of the existing provincial legislatures that we mentioned above. This ensured a fair geographical share of members from all the regions of the country. Understood? There were leaders from all the regions of the country. The assembly was dominated by the Indian National Congress, the party that led India's freedom struggle. But the Congress itself included a variety of political groups and opinions. So opinions of each and every political groups were also considered. The assembly had many members who did not agree with the Congress in social terms to the assembly, represented members of different language groups, castes, classes, religions, and occupations. So you can see that there were members from every society, each and every corner of India. So nobody can say that a particular society's rights have been undermined. Finally, the manner in which the Constituent Assembly worked gives sanctity to the Constitution. The Constituent Assembly worked in a systematic, open, and consensual manner. First, some basic principles were decided and agreed upon. Then, a drafting committee chaired by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar prepared a draft constitution for discussion. Several rounds of thorough discussion took place on the draft constitution, clause by clause. More than 2,000 amendments were considered. The members deliberated for 114 days spread over 3 years. So we see that our constitution was not framed all of a sudden and randomly or in a hurry. It took 114 days of discussion, which was spread over 3 years. When printed, these debates are bulky volumes. All the debates on each and every clause are still preserved, and 12 bulky volumes of books are preserved. These debates provide the rationale behind every provision of the Constitution, and if you go through these debates, you will see the logic behind each and every provision. These are used to interpret the meaning of the Constitution. Thank you.